Also, hello, Blue Memo.
I know. I was like, ooh, we're both wearing challah today. All right. Let's get into it and see where we end up, shall we? Welcome back, marketing nerds of the world. It's time for another episode of HAMYAW, the Blue episode. And today, what we want to talk about is pageantry and posturing in the online business space. So what we mean by that is there is a lot in the online space about what's expected when you hand in proposals, or whether you're expected to look a certain way or dress a certain way or talk a certain way in order to be seen as professional and credible. Now, a few weeks ago, I made a tweet that caught a little bit of fire in one corner, a very specific corner of marketing Twitter. So I'm going to show you guys that tweet. We're going to talk about it briefly, and then we're going to get into this idea of pageantry and posturing. How much pageantry is necessary in the online space to seem credible? Is it necessary at all? Do we need any of it? Are we past this point, especially in the era of COVID where everyone's working from home anyway and no one's wearing pants? How does this all work? Before I screen share, Margot, do you have anything you want to add to this piece of the conversation around pageantry?
Like a peacock attracting my mate.
That's why we're in blue today.
No, show it. Let's go.
Okay. This is the tweet that launched 121 likes, 15 quote tweets, and 16 retweets. Viral, baby. No, I'm just kidding. This isn't viral, but it was nice to be recognized. So this topic was about...
Happy to be nominated.
It's an honor. Things I do not care about in a proposal: PDF format, email body is fine, fancy graphics, bio, testimonials I've already read, your detailed step-by-step process I've already read, a brief summary will do. Things I do care about in a proposal: what I get and price point. I would also like to add that there were a couple caveats further down the thread, just sort of saying, you know, I respect pride and fancy proposals, but I skip to the end every time. You know, even if it's for high end, I sold 20, 30K contracts with a few bullet points in an email. Put the 20-page PDF away. And I would like to sort of gaze upon this one more time before we make it go away, because I am always proud when I take a stand about something, even if I have to caveat it, because Margot and I ended up arguing for 15 minutes after I tweeted it. So before I get into my caveats, if any, we'll see. Margot, talk to me about how you felt about this tweet.
So I will caveat first with, this is how I read proposals. But my point was, it depends. And it depends because if you are working with conservative clients in fields that are really, really buttoned up or fancy themselves fancy, you do have to have a fair amount of pageantry and play the game to make them feel comfortable, because a big part of what you're communicating in those proposals has nothing to do with what they're reading. It's just the fact that it exists, because you need to make them feel safe about spending money with you. And they feel like you're a more established organization and firm when you can say, here's all the things that I did. Here is my established process. Here are all the people I did it for. Like when you repeat over and over again and you emphasize those credibility indicators, then they jump to what you can do for them. They're like, oh, that's seasoned professional. But it also depends, like real talk on those big ticket items, those consulting firms. Sometimes they just want someone who they can show their boss. You might have given it to the decision maker, but they still have someone else to give it to. And so they need something fancy to take and show and be like, no, she's legit. I promise you, she's legit. You know?
Yeah, and I think that was sort of the conclusion that I came to. So here's something I want to stress is that, for a little bit of context, a lot of people who do the big proposables are proposables. Whatever.
That's a great name.
There's a new proposal platform for you. We have Proposify, we have Better Proposals, and now we have Proposable. Blah, blah, blah. Anyway, $1 million idea, hashtag trademark pending, hashtag don't steal it. I'll know we have a date stamp on this. Anyway, even though I'm anti-proposal, where am I going with this joke? Okay, so I'm not from the agency world, and a lot of people who value proposals and see it as an essential part of the process are, which I respect and understand. But I'm a freelance digital business native. You know, I started my business at 21, and over the years, I don't think I sent out a proposal in PDF format since I was working with a designer as a business partner, which was back in like 2012. So for me, you know, even as my rates have gone higher and as my average contract has increased in size and scope, I've always only sent proposals in the body of an email with a breakdown about, you know, short bullet points recapping the process, when we're going to have calls, what the deliverables are, what they can expect, and the price point. And it wasn't until I got a little bit deeper into, you know, hiring subcontractors, working with other creatives in the space, that I realized how detailed people's proposals were. And in my opinion, for a number of my students, how much time they were wasting.
Yes.
You know, putting together these huge, elaborate 20-page proposals for someone who is, you know, a solopreneur like me, who's just going to be like, okay, how much is it going to cost me? And I think that when you take some of the busy work out of business, it's often helpful and can free you up to do other things. So that's part of why I made the tweet, but it's also because I'm not from a school of business owner that values that. You know,
I get that. I mean, like, this is where the conflict is, because I exist in your world, and I also feel that way. Our world that we're creating. Taurus
versus Leo here on HAMYAW.
No, but like I agree with that. Like, there's nothing more annoying to me than the posturing that is necessary. Like, right now, I have a friend applying for a job, and the amount of PDFs he's putting together that say nothing. I mean, they absolutely say nothing. And the hiring managers are like, this is fantastic. Thank you so much. Like, it's like the hiring manager's posturing and he's posturing. And then they meet in the middle. They both kind of agree this is bullshit that we're doing to move to the next stage. It's like a complicit understanding. I was of the opinion when Hillary and I were fighting about this, that you do have to play the game. Hillary's of the opinion you got to change the fucking game. And honestly, I agree with her. I just think that it really does depend on your stage of business. When you are at a level where you can say, fuck the rules, I think that you have to know what that level is. So some degree of posturing, I think, is also important for yourself. Like, you take yourself more seriously when you have documents that you're proud of. Now, this is not to say it's okay to get carried away in minutia. It doesn't matter if it's fuchsia or magenta or blue or like whatever. You like those little details, like, fine, you want to create a brand expression, your assets should match. Of course, there is something to be said for that. But I do think, like, I know that I've had bigger ticket items that have sold in 2-page documents, but it's because I was working with someone who was in our world. I don't think that that's possible in the corporate world.
I've done work with agencies in the past and it hasn't been a problem, but in terms of like big corporations with multiple stakeholders, you know, gigantic teams, you know, while I have worked within those organizations, it's not been something where that's required a proposal of that, you know, stature and weight. But I think also there's a lot to be said about having the information packet being floated around, because there's multiple stakeholders, they're going up the ladder, and that I get. But I think for me, it was a lot of frustration about like why I had left the agency world in the first place, is that I hated the bullshit. And like naturally I gravitate to things that are simpler and straightforward because I have an extremely short attention span. So we talk about this in the context of posturing and pageantry, right? And I think that the online space is essentially, you know, anti-pageantry in a lot of ways, because, you know, we don't worry about wearing suits and ties to conferences. There's nothing that benefits us keeping it formal, because there's no one upholding those old-timey, just the way we do things systems. We're going through things and kind of creating everything on our own. But I think pageantry shows up in different ways in the online space as well. And this is something that I've fallen for in the past. So we were talking on another episode about my course, The Word Traps, and how I spent $10,000 launching that course. I have not spent $10,000 to launch a course since, but the reason why I did it at the time was because I thought I had to. I wanted everything to be the highest production value so people would take me seriously. I wanted the fancy graphics, the fancy video, but at the same time, I have made more money on launches that have been out of a Google Doc and a simple email. And so I think there's also that disconnect, is that there's a form of pageantry we get tired of in the online business space as well. We all want to be polished. We all want to be shiny. But at the end of the day, what makes the sale? It's us, and it's our skill set, and it's what people know of us previously. It's the sales call where you should be doing most of
the relationship.
Yeah, and the relationship. So I think that's another reason why I can be a stick in the mud about proposals needing to be shorter and more to the point. But I think there's pageantry everywhere, and we have to figure out what we want to buy into. Because I love great branding. There are people who are like, I don't even need a website. Branding is for idiots. Branding is the touchy-feely side of marketing. And that's also not entirely true. So I would like to add that was where I finally rested with the proposal thing, is that it's not necessarily for me. It's not something I think a lot of people in our world necessarily need to do or worry about. But there's a time and place for it.
You were fighting me so much harder. Like, I was right,
motherfucker.
We were having such a debate wait, y'all. I think we say this every time we finally get to the show. We've like resolved the conflict.
Yeah.
Where I feel conflicted is I sit here along with I think many people where we want to invent the future of work. And we want to create it and we want to promote it. And then we will behave in ways that are inconsistent with it. Like you said, with over performance, over
production,
execution. Yeah. Let's say something about brand. And
yeah.
here's where I'll draw the line. A natural expression of who you are and what you stand for is not posturing. So if you are a luxe brand, if you are verbose, if you know, like all of these things as they wrap in, and the same is true on the other side. Like I get a lot of shit for my sales pages being like way too bare bones. I don't care. They convert. And
are your sales pages too bare bones? I feel like there's a lot of words on your sales
Oh, no, they're all words. They're formatted like a blog post. Like,
right. Yep.
There's nothing, there's no section headers and it's nothing really, really fancy. I'm not doing much. Like sometimes the buttons are a hyperlink because I'm lazy. At least I'm testing.
It's all pageantry, folks. All pageantry.
But like that's the other side of the spectrum. I probably should care a little more. But I think that it comes down to if you are actually a professional, there isn't any pageantry you have to do. You do need to know the rules of your game so you can break them at the appropriate times. So you decide, like if you're going fishing, where are you putting that fishing pole? Like, is it a pond? Is it a river? Is it the ocean? Like, you're going to need a different rod. You're going to need a different bait. And I think that's where you can start matching things. But I think in the beginning, especially, we get it's like people worried about their domain names and getting distracted with like what color the business card is going to be. I think this goes in that category. Yeah. Because I will say on the other side of the spectrum, like when I was doing I'll use numbers here, like bigger ticket, over $40,000 to $90,000 contracts. Yeah. I would not feel comfortable with a 2-page. Well, that's not true today. Let me talk out of both sides of my mouth because when I was starting, it definitely made a difference to present myself. I also look really young and I definitely looked young 10 years ago. So I think that I needed a way for people to trust me and I think it made me take myself seriously. So I think that's true. Today, would I do it that way? I'm so out of that world because I've been coaching.
That world sucks.
I know. I would say the last big contract I did, it was like a Google Doc I turned into a PDF.
So I was right all along. I fucking knew it. Anyway, but no, I think, sorry, I don't want to interrupt you.
The consultancy. I mean, that's not my brand, right? Like you know me at this point.
Yes. And this is the point that we raised when we were originally arguing, which is, I swear to God, a thing we do, but apparently we're bad at doing it on camera. The point that you made that I was like, okay, point taken, you know, after 3 hours.
It was a long.
I was right. Is the idea that you're like, well, you can do the body of the email because people know you and you have the reputation. Yeah. If Beyonce is sending you a proposal, she could write it on a napkin and you'd be like, done. Sold. Like you're worth every penny. But for folks who are a little newer, for folks who are, you know, building their place in this world, I understand the desire to go in that direction. But at the same time, I had someone in the replies to this tweet be like, oh yeah, I was using one of those, I won't name the platform because that would be rude, but I was using, you know, one of these fancy proposal platforms and it took me so much longer and 0 of them converted, which I thought was really interesting. It may not have been anything to do with the platform and everything to do with the product market fit or whatever. Yeah. But I was like, isn't that interesting how there are some people who will tell you, you know, you need the proposal, a formal proposal to look credible. And honestly, if you do a good job on your sales call, you kind of don't. Again, that's been my experience within the range of clients that I've had. Let's say, you know, proposals going upwards of 50K.
Well, let's talk about the first principle here. I mean, your proposal should never be the thing that's about to close the deal.
Yes.
Like that is actually what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
Is that if you are waiting and unsure, the proposal is sent after you got a yes, and it's just paperwork. That's it. It's basically your contract in long form. It justifies the sale that's already been made. If you have not made a sale yet, do not write that proposal. Don't spend that time. Like all of that time does go into having another sales call. All of the content that people need to consume prior to ever speaking to you that makes you credible to them. You know, like all of the things, the relationship building over the 6 months beforehand. I have never had the proposal be the thing that seals the deal. Also, no one reads them. I've never had to go through and go like, oh, on this page you said that you, if anything, I've had the opposite where 4 months later, they're like, wait, I thought you did this. I'm like, sign the contract. I did not do that.
Yeah. And it's like,
you initial this page right here.
You're just flipping through pages and being like, okay, that's the price. Yes. So that was sort of my logic. And people also love you for giving them the information that they need and nothing more. you know, and anticipating needs. So I think that's another point in the favor of simplicity, because it's like, all right, what does the client actually need to know?
Yeah.
Like, do they need to see your bio again? Do they need to see like 10 testimonials? Do they need to see like large paragraph chunks about your process? Probably not if it's on your sales page, if you talked about it on the sales call. So just think about, if you want to do proposals, what information you want to rehash and how, in a way that's going to be approachable to the client. And that's probably going to look like reducing some of the information, and maybe it's worth a shot. I don't know your life.
Also being really clear. I would say still include those things.
Yeah.
But be very clear, like even when you email them or when you write it, like page 10, all you need. Look at it. It's got the item, because that's the other place where people obfuscate a lot. And I used to see this because clients would hand me all of their proposals from marketers past and marketers future. Even past clients now are like, can you review this? And I will look at them and I'm like, I know I'm supposed to know a lot about marketing, but I don't know what the fuck is in this thing. Like, this is not, I don't know what they're doing for you.
Yeah.
Are they building you a website? Are they making you a logo? Like, I'm not clear at all. And it's like, we will be hand holding complex solutions to interesting problems along your growth journey. And I'm like, I'm like, yeah, strategic advisory, fiduciary.
Well, I don't know if fiduciary got that. I'm already sold. You sound so credible. Truly, where do I sign?
All right, so here are our takeaways from this. There is an element of posturing and performance necessary with specific types of old school clients.
Yep.
You enter into those contracts knowing that it might be a little difficult and you're playing a game. They know you're playing, you know you're playing, and when you get to a level that you're big enough, like Beyonce, you can opt out. Until then, sometimes you got to play the game. But consider your audience and what they need. So if your audience is someone like Hillary or me, do not waste our time. Our most important asset is our time. And so if you're making us read through 25 hours of stuff, like, it's not happening. We're not reading it. We're going straight to the price. We're going straight to the deliverable, which is what most people are doing. So we are inventing the future of work here.
Yes.
Help us make proposals better. Help us end the posturing. How can we make, honest proposals is another good domain.
Honest proposable. Perfect.
But yeah, tell us about what it's been like to write proposals for you. What has worked, what hasn't. And remember, focusing on those first principles. So the proposal is not the meat. The meat is your relationship with the buyer, with the client, with the person who is the decision maker. It's the relationship you build over time. It's the reputation you build for yourself online and through word of mouth. All of those things you are working on during that sales call. You're getting a yes before you ever send them that proposal. The proposal is just paperwork that cements a deal that has already been set. And one last review, because I can't help myself. There are 2 rules of selling. One of them is that we make decisions emotionally.
Yeah.
And the second one is that we justify those emotional decisions with rational reasons. So this is in my marketing masterclass on Skillshare. But
Skillshare.
but that's where proposals matter, is that they help you justify the decision that's already been made, and they justify the sale. So let them do that. And so there's some performance that's necessary, but beyond that, don't waste your time in the minutia.
Keep it simple, y'all. Keep it simple.
All right. Tell us everything about your proposal process, wins, losses, what you've done right, where you've wasted so much time in the comments below. If you liked this episode, please like it below, share it with your friends, comment, and tell us what you thought. I am Margot Aaron.
And I'm Hillary Weiss.
We'll see you all in 2 weeks. Thanks for watching.
Ciao for now.